These are the sneaker releases that you need to know about in December 2024. This is Sit or Sell. Of course, if you want to grab any of the shoes mentioned in today's video, early or not, or you just want to check the resale price, I've made sure to link all of these shoes through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. But let's start things off with a pair of sneakers, or I guess pairs of sneakers that don't have release dates yet. And these pairs are the Adidas Fear of God Athletics 2 basketballs in both mid and high. So apparently one of the biggest complaints with the original Adidas Fear of God 1 basketball was that the shoe wasn't great for basketball, which is kind of crazy considering it's a basketball shoe. But hey, I never played in it, so I don't know for sure. I thought it was a good looking shoe, but it just didn't sell that well. But it looks like this year, Jerry Lorenzo and Adidas have completely changed things up on the Fear of God Basketball 2, or the Fear of God 2 Basketball. I never really know which name it is. This time around, we're getting a completely updated version of the shoe in both a mid top and a high top, and it looks like the first colorway dropping is night brown. The design of both of these pairs are very simple and very clean, which definitely falls in line with the Fear of God aesthetic. You've got this one-piece midsole and outsole, you've got an upper that seems to be made up of some sort of fabric mesh, and then overlaid on top of that, you've got what looks like a thin sort of TPU, also in that night brown color. And what's interesting is that this TPU overlay actually outlines the Adidas 3 stripes, which I thought was a nice touch. On the heel of the shoe, you've got this sort of bumped out heel counter, at least I'm assuming that's what it is. It comes in the same color to match the midsole. And it looks like the main difference between the mid top and the high top is that the high top actually has a strap for extra ankle support. The design language of this pair of sneakers, or I guess pairs of sneakers, is so interesting because it kind of looks like a mashup between Jerry Lorenzo's work with Nike and Yeezy. I'm definitely not mad at it though. I'd love to grab a pair of these to try for myself. I'm personally leaning towards the mid-top version, which I think will probably be the most popular of the two pairs, but I don't know for sure. And as of right now, there is no release date other than sometime in December for either of these pairs, and there's also no pricing. But I would assume that at least the mid-top version is going to be around $250 because that's what we saw with the previous pairs. But either way, I do think that there is a potential that both of these pairs might sell out because they're new performance basketball sneakers from a very popular brand, and usually those kinds of shoes end up selling out, at least in the first colorway. So for that reason, I'm giving both of these shoes a sell. But really quick though, I want to let you guys know about my upcoming Black Friday Whatnot stream where I'm giving away pairs of sneakers like brand new Kobe's, which is wild. If you guys don't have Kobe's, you can win a pair for free on my Whatnot live stream. I'm also selling early pairs that haven't dropped yet, like this pair of Air Jordan 11 Legend Blues that drop in December. We'll talk about them later on in the video. Some more pairs from my own personal collection, and also Travis Scott's. Of course, if you sign up for Whatnot using my link in the top of the description below, you get $15 towards your first purchase, which means you can save $15 on anything that I'm selling. And if you didn't already know about Whatnot, Whatnot is a live auction shopping platform with sneaker auctions 24 hours a day, some starting at just $1. And of course, all of the auctions in my stream will be starting at just $1. So make sure to tune into my live stream for the steals and for the deals this Friday, Black Friday. Sign up using that link in the top of the description below and you get $15 towards your first purchase. And of course, huge thank you to Whatnot for being a longtime supporter of the channel. Moving on to December 1st, we've got the Crocs Echo Wave. Obviously named the Wave because of the wave-like texture on the upper of the shoe. This shoe is a clog style sneaker and one that I'm actually really into. Crocs sent me a pair of these early and I've actually been wearing it almost every day since I've gotten it. I keep it by the door and I wear it whenever I'm really going outside of the house unless I'm going somewhere specifically. And it's awesome. It's got this really nice like cushion foam insert inside the shoe itself, so it doesn't feel like a standard pair of Crocs. It's actually softer than a standard pair of Crocs. It's sort of this clog slip-on style vibe, which I'm really into. In fact, the 3D printed shoe that we're making with Apothecary and Zellerfeld is a similar sort of shape to this, and I love the design of it. I think it's awesome. Now, I believe it's dropping in two different colorways, a tan and sort of a brick red, and they're both retailing for $70. Now, although I think people might be interested in this shoe, and it's one of those sneakers that I think people will snap up whenever they find it in store, I don't think it's going to be impossible to get, and I think that both of these colorways are probably going to end up sitting on shelves. Continuing on to December 2nd, we've got Lil Yachty's Nike Air Force 1 Low Concrete Boys. So much has already been said about this shoe. I'm sure you guys are familiar with what went down at Complex Con between Beeman Williams and Yachty. And I'm not going to get into it. Mainly because I have nothing to say. I mean, the shoe's cool. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a nice looking pair of Air Force Ones. I like the Yachty touches. I like the Concrete Boys logo on the back. And actually, the booth for this shoe at Complex Con was sick. They had an actual concrete truck. And I think the way that you could get a pair of shoes was you had to break open a brick and it had like a ticket inside or something. I didn't get to go inside the booth, but that's what I heard. I mean, if you're a Yachty fan, you should grab this shoe. And I think there is actually some decent hype behind the sneaker, especially now that everyone's talking about it. The drop that happened at Complex Con was obviously significantly more limited than the drop that's taking place on the 2nd, and the shoe will retail for the same price, $130. Is it something that I'm personally going to go out of my way to get? Probably not, but that doesn't mean it's not a good looking sneaker, and it's a shoe that if you want it, grab it, but it's probably not going to be easy to get. So because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sell. Actually, if you want to check the price of the Concrete Boys Air Force 1 or maybe grab a pair for yourself early-ish, make sure to check them out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. Also dropping on the same day, we've got the women's Air Jordan 12 Phantom. This shoe comes in what seems like a very buttery cream leather upper, accented by gold hits on both the midsole and on the lace eyelets. The rest of the look seems to be rounded off by some more cream hits in the mudguard and on the outsole of the shoe. Definitely got some OVO vibes to it, which I'm not against. And I think if we were back in 2016 when the Air Jordan 12 was like the hottest shoe out there, this shoe would be going for like $300-400. But 2016 was a long time ago. It was almost 10 years ago. That's insane to think about. But even though I'm not the biggest lover of Air Jordan 12s, I do think it's a very clean look, but for a women's only shoe that's retailing at $200, it's not something that I personally want to grab, and I don't think everyone's going to be running out to the store to grab this shoe, so for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. And then rounding off December 2nd, we've got the women's Air Jordan 4 Net. I'm gonna keep my opinions to myself in terms of execution, but I honestly don't hate the concept. And to be fair, it did turn out way better than I thought I was going to based on the renders. So this shoe takes the netting on the sides of the sneaker and on the tongue and combines them together to look like what I'm assuming is a basketball net. That's my guess. And conceptually, I don't hate it. And like I said, visually, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Is it something that I'd ever wear personally? Probably not. It's $210, which seems like a lot for what this is. I get that it's a completely new look for the Air Jordan 4, so they probably had to open up new molds for this shoe. And I think because it's such a wild concept, it either is gonna fly off shelves or it's not gonna sell at all. And I have a feeling it's gonna be more on the not gonna sell at all side. Again though, it is better looking than I thought it was gonna look. So the designers did a decent job. I mean, conceptually it's really cool. Design-wise, it's cool. It's not for me. It's not for me. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not for me. Yo, am I starting to like this shoe now a little bit? Oh man. Regardless, I don't think it's gonna sell out. I'm gonna give this shoe a sit. But if you like this shoe, let me know in the comment section. There's nothing wrong if you like it. I'm just interested to see who likes it and who doesn't. So let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Dropping on December 3rd is the Nike SB Dunk Low Black Smoke Gray. SB Dunks might not be flying off the shelves the way that they used to, but that doesn't mean Nike is gonna stop dropping a ton of them. And this is another one of those shoes that I don't hate, but I don't love. The sneaker comes in a black nubuck upper and black Nike swoosh, accented by sort of a lighter gray or medium gray suede overlay, and then rounding off the look is a gum outsole. It's clean, it's simple, it's $115, but let's be real, I would not be surprised if this shoe ends up at the outlets in a couple months. Does that mean it's a bad shoe? Absolutely not, but I don't think this shoe is gonna sell out, so I'm giving this shoe a sit. Then on December 4th, we've got the New Balance 1906L in black. The 1906 is one of New Balance's most popular models. In fact, it's so popular, they're like, why don't we do something insane and create a loafer version? Now what's even wilder to me is that the loafer version of the shoe is still selling out. I don't get it. We've hit the final boss of the 1906 and it's beating us right now. It's crazy. So this is not the first colorway of the shoe to drop. In fact, I think it's like the third colorway of the shoe to drop. It's coming in all black and it's a 1906 as a loafer. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I have no idea. Now here's the crazy part. There are people who actually make this shoe look amazing on foot. I'm not one of those people. I haven't tried it, but I can guarantee you I'm not one of those people. Realistically, I should probably buy a pair just to experience it, to see what I'm missing, because apparently I'm missing something based on the fact that it keeps selling out. For $160, I would think that this second or third colorway of the shoe might be right over the top of the hype hill because it's all black and it's not as exciting as maybe the all silver one. But I really don't know. To be safe, I'm gonna give this shoe a sell just in case you want to grab this shoe. Try and run out to the store and grab it ASAP because I don't know how long it's gonna sit around. But it's also possible it could sit. But for the purposes of making sure that you get a pair if you want a pair, I'm gonna give it a sell because you gotta have some urgency. Oh, side note, and somewhat unrelated, Apothecary has just dropped our brand new 10 sock mystery bag. Every year we drop a mystery bag that includes 10 pairs of socks for $100. Usually our socks retail for $15, so you're saving like $50. And of course, in addition to having 10 pairs of socks, some bags do come with a golden ticket. If you find a golden ticket in your bag, it'll have something written on it and you can redeem it for whatever is written on it, like a PlayStation or a sneaker or a gift card or something like that. So if you guys want to fill out your sock collection with the most comfortable and best looking socks out there, Apothecary socks, grab the 10 sock mystery bag and you could possibly get a golden ticket. But even if you don't, I feel like you're winning with 10 pairs of socks, personally. Yes, I am biased because I started the company, but these socks are awesome. If you haven't tried them, seriously check them out. Also dropping on the 4th is the Nike ZoomX AlphaFly 3 Ekiden. So I had to do a little sleuthing, a little bit of research to find out what Ekiden meant because I had no idea. Apparently it's a Japanese word that means a long distance relay. And this ZoomX AlphaFly 3 is actually releasing as part of a pack. They all feature the same design language, the flames on the upper of the shoe, they're all white with red accents. This pair is probably gonna be the most popular of the pack, and that's why I included it in today's video because I don't usually include new performance running sneakers on these lists unless there's something about it that's interesting to sneakerheads, not specifically running sneakerheads. But I do think this performance pack will be relatively popular because the design of this shoe is something that I think a lot of people like. People really love flames. At Apothecary, we've made flame socks like 3 or 4 different times, and they just always sell out. I don't know what it is about it. I don't usually wear flame stuff. The last time Supreme did a collab with flames on it, I was not about it. This shoe I'm probably not gonna grab, but people love it. I'm not gonna lie though, the flame socks, and yes, I'm probably biased because, you know, I've made them, but the flame socks were fire, literally. And you know what? If you have a pair of those flame socks and you buy these shoes, tag us on Instagram, we'll repost it. I think that's gonna be a cool look. To be fair though, regardless of the design on the upper of the shoe, the Nike ZoomX AlphaFly 3 will probably end up selling out because it's such a popular silhouette. Whenever Nike drops a new colorway of this $285 running sneaker, it consistently sells out because I'm guessing it's relatively limited. It's also probably one of the softest shoes that I've ever felt on foot because of the insane amount of ZoomX foam. Now that's kind of counterbalanced by the carbon fiber plate in between the upper and the midsole of the shoe, but it's still incredibly soft on foot, but it's mainly made for running, and because of that, it's not the most durable shoe in the world. In fact, I wouldn't recommend wearing this shoe casually whatsoever. This is purely a marathon running sneaker. I wouldn't even train in this shoe. I'd throw it on just for race day, and that's what people seem to do. And for that $285 price point, I'm surprised that this shoe consistently sells out, but every new version of the shoe, new colorway, whatever it is, they all sell out almost immediately, and while there's not like a crazy resale market for it, there has been in the past for certain colorways. So if you want a pair of these, good luck, because it will probably end up selling out. And in my opinion, this is going to be the colorway out of all of the ZoomX AlphaFly 3s. It's probably going to sell the fastest. Then finally rounding off the fourth, we've got the Nike Air Foamposite 1 Copper. Out of every shoe on today's list, this is a pair that I am by far the most nostalgic for, and that's because when I used to work at the Van store in the Columbia Mall in Maryland, there was a DTLR right next door, and this was a pair that I waited in line for after my shift, and I missed it. No surprise, because in 2009 when this shoe released, the Foamposite was like the hottest shoe out there, especially in the DMV area. And I've actually never been able to grab a pair of this shoe. It's not that I couldn't, it's just that I didn't want to go out of my way to grab it for anything more than retail, especially after that day passed, because I was a little salty about it. But now, on December 4th, 2024, I will be picking up a pair of these, whether I have to pay resale or not, hopefully not. And I'm going to be rocking it. Even though Foamposites might not be the thing anymore, I still really want a pair. Now, unfortunately, it is priced like Foamposites, so it's $240, which is a lot to pay for a pair of brand new Nike sneakers that isn't specifically made for running. But in my opinion, it's a good looking shoe. It features a metallic copper upper accented by a translucent blue outsole, and it's a wildly futuristic looking shoe. I mean, it's one of those sneakers that even though it's, you know, almost 20 years old at this point, I think it is 20 years old. I think, when did it drop? 95? 94? When did the Foamposite drop? 97? 97. 97. Even though it's, well, then it's more than 20 years old at this point. It's an old shoe, but it still looks like it's a futuristic shoe. I really don't know what the hype is going to be like on this shoe because Foamposites are so hot and cold these days, but because this colorway is so popular, or at least it was so popular back in the day, and because it's one of those shoes that I think people do really like, obviously, I'm going to give this shoe a sell. Moving on to December 5th, we've got 2 women's Nike Air Max Pluses with Swarovski crystals. Probably took me 7 takes to get that word right. I don't know why I can't say Swarovski. I think I said it right there, first try, that's crazy. Nike is no stranger to collaborating with this brand. And this time around, these 2 brands are collaborating on 2 different colorways of the Nike Air Max Pluses. One is the Sunset colorway and one is the Moonlight colorway. Now, interestingly enough, the Moonlight colorway is $100 cheaper than the Sunset colorway at $450, with the Sunset colorway being $550. The reason for that though does seem like it's because the Sunset colorway has significantly more crystals on the upper of the shoe than the Moonlight colorway. And I've got to say, both of these colorways are pretty wild. I don't know if I could wear these crystals on my feet just because I'd be afraid of them falling off. I mean, to be fair, I spend $500 in pairs of sneakers all the time to get early pairs to review for you guys, but when there's a chance of part of the sneaker falling off when I'm just using it in day-to-day wear, it becomes less likely for me to want to spend the money. Now, all that said, I do think it's a really interesting concept. We've seen it done a bunch of times before, specifically on the Nike Air Max 97s, but it's not something that I personally would want, and it is also a women's only colorway, so maybe women are really excited about this. I don't know, I don't want to generalize, but I mean, it's crazy. I guess if I had to pick one, I was leaning towards the Moonlight colorway, but the Sunset colorway is kind of cool. So I guess I'd go for the Sunset colorway, but they're both just very, very expensive for what they are. However, I'm sure they're gonna be incredibly limited, and so because of that, I'm gonna give both of these colorways a sell. But hey, if you guys want to check the resale price, if you want a pair of these, check them out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. I'm actually really interested, let me see. I'm surprised by that. Also dropping on December 5th is the Nike SB Dunk Low Wizard of Oz. So this obviously Wizard of Oz inspired colorway features a poppy print all over the upper of the shoe and onto the midsole, but what's interesting is that you can actually remove the upper possibly just certain parts of it, and reveal what seems to be a red leather upper based on what Private Selection is showing in this picture. Now, while this particular colorway is not for me personally, I do really love the concept, and I love that Nike is getting crazy with SBs again. It's not that they haven't been. I mean, this year we've gotten things like the Verties, which are nuts, but it's cool to see stuff like this, like an all-over print with a removable upper. But in my opinion, that's what makes Nike SB Dunk so exciting, because they're the ones that get crazy experimental with colorways and patterns and materials. And you know what, actually, for 135 bucks, it's not a terrible retail price, and if I can get it for retail, I'm gonna pick it up. However, most likely that'll be difficult, because even though this is not like gonna be the most popular colorway in the world, I do think there is some hype behind it, and because of that, I'm gonna give this shoe a sell. Rounding off the fifth, we've got two different colorways of the Fragment design Nike Air Zoom Spiridon collaboration. Fragment has been one of my favorite collaborators with Jordan branded with Nike over the years. They just always absolutely kill it on their shoes. And even though some of their collaborations don't always hit, at least with the public, they've been collaborating with Nike for like 2 decades at this point and have created some of the most iconic Nike collaborations and Jordan collaborations of all time. And now on December 5th, they're continuing their collaboration push with 2 new sneakers, a black pair and a white and black pair of Nike Air Zoom Spiridons. Whenever Nike drops a collaboration like this on a silhouette that we haven't seen in a minute, it usually means that that silhouette's getting some sort of retro, or Nike's gonna start releasing GR colorways of this shoe a bunch in the following couple months, and that wouldn't surprise me if that's the case with this sneaker. I do think that this will be sort of the lead off to a brand new Nike Air Zoom Spiridon push. That said, this is definitely an understated way to kick off this new line of retros. You've got a black pair with Fragment text in white. The other colorway comes in white and black, sort of split down the middle with, of course, more Fragment text. And while both of these shoes are clean, they're not gonna blow anyone's mind. Now, Fragment design tends to lead a little bit more on the minimal side of things when it comes to color blocking and color usage, so I'm not totally surprised that this is what they're dropping, but I do think that if they had gone for a slightly more out there look on a shoe that's relatively simple, it probably would be a bit more popular. That said, what do I know? I'm sure there's a lot of Fragment heads out there that'll be excited for this shoe. So, although personally, I think that this shoe might end up sitting, especially for the retail price of, what is it? $170, there is a very real possibility of these shoes completely selling out. Moving on to December 6th, we've got the Nike Air Force 1 Low Kobe Bryant. So this PE is inspired by an iconic Kobe Air Force 1 PE from 2002. And while it's not exactly the same, it does feature a lot of Kobe Bryant branding and hits. You've got Kobe's signature on the tongue tag of the shoe, you've got Kobe's emblem pressed into the heel of the sneaker, and of course it comes in white, yellow, and purple. It's interesting because usually whenever Nike drops like a themed sneaker, whether it's themed after a college or something else, the sneaker will be named something that doesn't really relate to what it's technically inspired by. In this case though, this is truly a Kobe Bryant Air Force 1. The shoe literally features his branding on it. It's not like one of these pairs that they're re-releasing that's inspired by a PE that doesn't feature any PE branding. This is truly a Kobe Air Force 1. And I think that paired with the fact that this is a pretty clean looking shoe is gonna make this release very, very hyped up. Now, presumably because this pair is a more premium release of the Air Force 1 lows, or maybe they're just bumping up the price because it's a Kobe release, the sneaker is gonna retail for $150. And like I said, I think this is gonna be an incredibly hyped drop. So because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sell. I also don't think the shoe is going to drop at a lot of retailers, probably mostly bodegas, maybe online in the sneakers app, and of course through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen, but I don't think it's going to be a super easy shoe to find. Also dropping on the 6th is the Air Jordan 1 High Golf Gold Toe. So over the last year or two, Jordan Brand has been going hard on the golf market and releasing Golf Jordan 1 after Golf Jordan 1 after Golf Jordan 1. And as someone who lightly dabbles in golf, I really like being able to walk into my local Nike outlet and find a pair of Golf Jordan 1s if I need a new pair. Obviously, my favorite colorway, the Chicago colorway, unfortunately is no longer at the outlet, although it probably was at one point, and I know the lows were at the outlet back in like 2015. Regardless, this gold toe colorway is very clean and looks a lot like the Complex Con pair from like 2018. So as the name gold toe would suggest, this shoe comes with metallic gold on both the heel and on the toe, and of course the rest of the look is rounded off by black and white, and the material used on almost the entire upper of the shoe is patent leather, which I guess isn't the worst material to use for a golf shoe because it does repel water better than standard leather, although most Golf Jordan 1s, if not all of them, are water resistant. So I don't know how big of a deal that actually is. Patent leather Jordan 1s also crease pretty badly, so that's something else to keep in mind. Regardless, this shoe is releasing for a retail price of $190, but in my opinion, don't spend that money because I can almost guarantee that in like 2 months the shoe is going to show up at the Nike outlet. You'll probably be able to buy pairs of these on sale very, very quickly, and if not, you can grab a pair on the resale market through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen or anywhere else for probably well under retail. So in my opinion, while it's a good looking shoe, if you like patent leather Jordan 1s and you like the gold toe look and you like to play golf, this is a great way to go, but don't buy it for full retail because this shoe is definitely going to sit on shelves. Then finally rounding up the 6th, we've got the Solefly Air Jordan 12. This Solefly collaboration seems to come in premium materials. You've got this really buttery looking leather on the upper, accented by this even butterier, is that butterier? Butterier chocolate colored leather on the mud guard of the shoe. And all around, it's a very premium looking pair of Air Jordan 12s. It's probably my favorite pair of 12s to drop this year. Solefly tends to have great collaborations with Jordan Brand, and although not all of them have been as popular as, say, the Air Jordan 1 Soleflies, the Air Jordan 8s from last year, or I guess this year, were actually really, really clean. But I do think that this will be one of the more popular releases in December. Also, you may have noticed that most of the releases that we've talked about have been in like the very first part of December, and that's mainly because after like the 20th, everything kind of dies down because you've got Christmas and you've got New Year's. To my knowledge, I don't think anything really drops in the second half of the month, so that's why this month is so front heavy. But getting back to these, they are very clean, they look very wearable, and I'm definitely gonna be trying to pick up a pair for myself. When it comes to retail price, they're coming in at a somewhat hefty $225, but for the quality of materials, I guess it makes sense. And in my opinion, I do think that these Solefly Air Jordan 12s will probably end up selling out because they'll be super limited. Will they resell for anything? Probably not, but who knows. Dropping on December 7th, we've got the Nike SB Dunk Low Fur and Fire Red. So according to Nike, this shoe is inspired by the Seattle Supersonics, an NBA team that used to be in Seattle and now is playing as the Oklahoma City Thunder because they moved. I would love to see one day Seattle getting another NBA team because I grew up with the Seattle Supersonics. It's a team that I'm somewhat nostalgic for, although I was never a fan. I just always grew up knowing them. And as someone who I guess is nostalgic towards a team, this colorway is kind of clean. You've got a red upper accented by fur green, most likely because of the fir trees. You've also got yellow hits and white hits, and all around, it is a clean and relatively brightly colored Nike SB Dunk Low. This shoe retails for $125, and when it releases on the 7th, I do think that there will be some hype behind it, but I don't think this shoe will sell out. So because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Also dropping on the 7th, we've got the Air Jordan 5 White and Black. So this shoe's colorway is a reverse, or I guess inverse, of the classic metallic 5s. It features a white leather upper instead of a black suede upper, and then of course you've got black on the midsole and metallic silver on the shark teeth. And I genuinely think it's a very clean pair of Air Jordan 5s. If you love 5s and you want a new pair to rock on the daily, this is a great pair to go for. It retails for $200, which I feel like is a lot, and personally I think this shoe is going to be selling for well under retail on the resale market after it releases, but who knows? Actually, let me check the resale price right now while we're on the topic. I knew it was gonna be going for under retail, but I didn't know it was gonna be going for that much under retail. Dude, the shoe doesn't even drop, at least at the time of filming this video, for like 3 weeks. What's going on? That's crazy. I think it's a good shoe. I don't know why it's going for that much under retail. Seriously, if you wanna grab it, check it out. But it's obviously not gonna sell out. Obviously, I think that because it's going for below retail before it releases, but not just that, the fact that it's going for this much below retail, yeah, it's not gonna sell out. Moving on to December 9th, we've got the Squid Games Crocs Classic Clogs. This shoe is exactly what it sounds like. It's a Squid Games pair of Crocs, and it's actually awesome. So the main colorway of the shoe is the jumpsuit green from the show, obviously, with white accents and blood splatters on the heel. But you've also got these really interesting gibbets that include the sugar cookie, I guess the triangle logo or the face logo of the guards or whatever they are, and then also the robot in the beginning of the show. It's a pretty wild looking pair of clogs, but I would expect nothing less from Crocs on a Squid Games collaboration. I believe this shoe is gonna retail for $70, but in my opinion, I think it's gonna sell out and probably resell. Not like for a huge amount of money over retail, but probably still resell. Then moving on to December 11th, we've got another New Balance 1906L, this time in Magnet Phantom. So this shoe actually looks a lot like the pair that we just talked about, the all black pair. It retails for the same amount, obviously, $160. However, instead of being black, it comes in a very dark brownish grayish blue, or I guess dark blue gray. It's like a weird mix of like browns and blues and grays. I don't know exactly what it is. In my opinion, this is the worst colorway yet, and this is a colorway that I think if the black colorway doesn't sell out, this one will definitely not sell out. I've been wrong before though, so maybe it will, but in my opinion, this shoe is definitely gonna sit, and that's why I'm giving it a sit, and this will not be the colorway that I grab if I grab a colorway, although I still am not sure if I'm grabbing a colorway yet. Moving on to the 12th, we've got the Kobe 9 Elite Protro in the Christmas colorway. This era of Nike basketball sneakers was like the peak era of Nike basketball sneakers. We were getting Christmas colorways every year on every silhouette. We were getting colorways for holidays. It didn't even matter. I can't think of any right now because it didn't matter, but there were colorways for everything, and it was awesome. And these colorways were wild and they were crazy. And this is actually one of the more laid back colorways, but it's still a very clean white and red pair of Kobe 9 Elites. The midsole comes in tonal reds with white accents. You've got black carbon fiber, a black Nike Nike swoosh, and then you've got this white and red knit upper. It's a wild looking pair of sneakers, and I don't think anyone wears Kobe 9 Elite Protros casually. I mean, maybe they do. I don't think they did. Well, actually, people did wear this casually back in the day, to be honest with you. But either way, it's a sick pair of Kobe basketball sneakers. I saw a stat recently that was talking about the pairs that people wear most on court in the NBA, and the Kobe 6 is a pair that people wear the most out of every basketball sneaker in the NBA. And Kobe's like dominated that list. There were some LeBrons, obviously, some Currys, Jordans, but it was mostly Kobe's. And the number one shoe was the Kobe 6. Kobe 9s also were on the list, Kobe 8s, Kobe 5s, Kobe 4s, but Kobe 6s, man. So I would not be surprised whatsoever if hoopers decide to pick up this shoe. It is $240, so it's not cheap, but it is a Protro and probably performs better than the original. Haven't played in it, so I don't know. But either way, I definitely see the Kobe 9 Elite Protro Christmas selling out. Dropping on December 13th is the Stash Nike Air Force 1 Low. The original Stash Air Force 1 Low released back in 2006, but it is returning in a way in 2024. The shoe comes in a tonal blue and gray upper featuring more fabrics on the upper than leather. And like a lot of the other shoes on today's list, it was released at ComplexCon in Las Vegas. Stash is a well-known graffiti artist, so whether you're a fan of his or you just love classic Air Force 1s from like 2006, this shoe has a lot of fans. It's gonna retail for $160, probably be very limited, and in my opinion, because it's so limited, probably end up selling out. Moving on to December 14th, we get to one of the most highly anticipated sneaker releases of the entire year, and that is the Air Jordan 11 Legend Blue. So the last time the shoe released was back in 2014, and I unfortunately completely missed out on this pair and was not able to grab it. However, I have a pair right now. Now, I'm not gonna wear this pair. This is a pair that I just recently bought for a video. It's not the pair that I reviewed, and I was gonna keep it, but I had the Whatnot stream coming up, and I was like, you know what? Let's give someone a good deal, and then I'll just buy it again when it releases on release day. So you guys are gonna get this pair for probably a steal, and I don't know, I'm kind of mad that I'm selling it now. I kind of wish I hadn't said anything about it in the promo. Either way, the Air Jordan 11 Legend Blue comes in an all-white upper. You've got patent leather on the bottom half. You've got standard leather towards the upper of the shoe instead of ballistic nylon. You've got white nylon straps. You've got white laces, a white tongue. Of course, your 23 on the heel and your icy blue outsole. It's a very clean and simple pair of 11s, but that's probably why it's so popular. It's so wearable. And even though it's basically a foregone conclusion that Nike is gonna release almost 1 million pairs of these, I still think it's gonna be kind of difficult to get. I still think this shoe is gonna sell like crazy. The retail price of this pair is gonna be $230, so not incredibly cheap whatsoever, but even still, it's such a classic pair of sneakers. People love the Christmas 11s. I just think the shoe is gonna fly off shelves, and so for that reason, even though I don't think it's gonna resell for like crazy money after the fact, or be impossible to get if you're on top of your raffles and you're just making sure to go to the store on the day of release, I still think the shoe is gonna sell out. I mean, obviously, right? Like every year the Christmas 11s sell out, even though sometimes they show up at the Nike outlets a couple weeks later, they tend to completely sell out when they first launch. So sure, you can wait, see if the prices drop, but I think if you want them, just grab them for retail. Or check them out early through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. Or if you're watching this video after they drop, then check them out for resale. Moving on to December 18th, we've got the Air Jordan 12 Blueberry. I'm just putting it together now, but I think the reason they call this the blueberries is because it's a blue version of the cherries, and they're both berries. I guess I get it. It's just kind of dumb. So yeah, it's a white and blue pair of 12s. You've got blue on the bottom half of the shoe, white leather on the top half of the shoe, accented by black around the sock liner. It's nothing special, I'm not gonna lie to you. If you love 12s and you want a pair that is not the French Blues, but kind of looks like the French Blues, then go with this pair. It's $210. I do think that you'll be able to buy it for well under retail, probably even before release. But if you want to grab it for retail, sure, go for it. But I think the shoe is gonna sit. Moving on to December 19th, we've got the Nike Book 1 Nightmare Before Christmas. So this shoe looks a lot like the Halloween pair of Book 1s. It's basically the same thing except in white instead of black. It does still feature the stitched accents around the Nike swoosh of the shoe, and obviously, as the name would suggest, it's inspired by the Nightmare Before Christmas, which also kind of makes it a Christmas shoe. And I know I was just complaining about how I missed Nike Christmas shoes, and the reason I included this shoe on the list is because it is a Nike Christmas shoe, and it's actually a pretty interesting one. The retail price of this shoe is going to be $140, and one detail that I really love on the sneaker, besides the stitched Nike swoosh, is this little orange hit on the lace eyelet. I know it's not that important, but it does add a nice pop of color, and I kind of like it. Do I think the shoe is going to sell out? Most likely not. I think the shoe will probably end up sitting on shelves. However, I do think it's going to be somewhat limited compared to other Nike Book 1s, and I guess there is a chance that it could move better than other Nike Book 1s, but I don't think so. So because of that, I'm going to give the shoe a sit, but who knows? Also releasing on the 19th, we've got the New Balance 997 Teddy Santis Moonrock Driftwood. So obviously this is another Teddy Santis designed pair of New Balances. It is a very clean look on the 997s, and I do think it's one of the better pairs of 997s to drop in a while. The shoe comes in tonal grays and tans and is definitely a premium makeover of the silhouette. Comes in at a higher retail price, unfortunately, of $170, but I do think while it's not gonna fly off shelves, it will be a mover. New Balance hasn't really been as hot in terms of hype as it was a couple years ago, but pairs still do move, especially when they're Teddy Santises or Kith collaborations or ALDs or whatever the case may be. And I think this is one of those shoes that might be a hidden gem. I mean, especially with that material quality, which looks really, really great. And while yes, it is more expensive than a standard pair of 997s, I think it might be worth it. Will it sell out though? Overall, probably not, but I do think certain sizes will move relatively quickly. So I am gonna give this shoe a sit, but if you want a certain size, just be on it when it drops. Dropping on December 21st is the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Low Velvet Brown. So you may or may not have already seen my review of this sneaker, which you can check out through the link on the top of the screen. But this is a really interesting pair of Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Lows. There were 3 pairs that dropped this year. This colorway, the reverse mochas, the medium olives, and the Elkins High colorway. I definitely prefer those colorways to this colorway. However, for people who like that more subtle flex, this is probably the most subtle flex you can get with a pair of Travises. The shoe comes in a very low-key dark brown nubuck upper, and it's accented by some classic Travis Scott hits. However, they come in like a black or a sort of hidden color. However, those hits are also pretty camouflaged because they come in black and they're not as easy to see and they're not as contrasty as other colors used on other Travis Scott colorways. It's interesting because this year Travis Scott has released one of the brightest and craziest pairs of Travis Scotts ever with the Elkins High colorway, and then he's released the most subtle and laid-back colorway, even more so than the black colorway. Technically, this pair already had sort of a very limited release at ComplexCon. If you had bought the Travis Scott VIP tickets that gave you a free pair of sneakers, you could have gotten these randomly, but they technically haven't officially released yet. And I do think that even though at first I thought that no one was gonna like this shoe, the hype is definitely there for this sneaker. I thought it was gonna be like a sitter, maybe not a sitter, because that's crazy to say about a pair of Travis's, at least Travis Air Jordan 1s, but I didn't think it was gonna be something that's garnering as much hype as it's garnering. It's still not for me. I still don't love this colorway. It's still a little too low key for me, but a lot of people love it. Now it does retail for the same price as other Travis Scott Air Jordan 1s, $150, and as you could probably guess, it's gonna sell out. I mean, there's no question, it's gonna sell out very, very quickly. I really couldn't tell you. Right now, I think it's at like, it's like the $700 range is my guess, but you can check it out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. I think it's cool. If I get a pair for retail, sure, I'll be happy, but I'm not gonna pay resale for it, not again, because I already did for the review. I paid a lot, more than I wanted to for it, but hey, it is what it is. But at this point, we've pretty much covered all of the important sneaker releases that we know about so far in December 2024. Let me know your thoughts on this list in the comment section down below if you made it this far in the video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.